Hello everyone, I'm Chris, and this is every Batman movie ranked from worst to best. Real quick, if you're watching this video and you haven't yet subscribed, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to know anytime we upload a new video. Following the release of the newest Batman film, The Batman, we've decided to take a look back at every single Batman movie to date and see how they compare to one another. As of the time of this recording, there have been a total of 10 live-action Batman films, as well as one Lego Batman film, with 7 different actors playing the Caped Crusader. I suggest if you haven't seen any of the Batman movies listed in the description, that you go check them out first before coming back to see how we'd rank them. Of course, this video is just for fun, and it's okay if our rankings are completely different from yours. Number 11, Batman and Robin, released in 1977. Usually when making these videos, I try to talk more about the positives of a film than the negatives, even if the movie was mostly bad. But truly, I don't think there's really anything positive to say about this movie. George Clooney is a great actor in my opinion, and it really seems like he could have played a great Bruce Wayne, but he wasn't given anything good to work with here. Batman feels so vanilla and almost has no depth at all. Robin's just whining and complaining throughout basically the whole movie for no reason, and their whole conflict surrounding Poison Ivy was so odd to me. It really is crazy how a Batman movie starring George Clooney, Uma Thurman, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was this bad with genuinely nothing positive coming out of it. Number 10. Batman Forever, released in 1995. Batman Forever also had a solid cast, with Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, but once again that didn't result in an actually good movie. There aren't really any positives for this one either, although I did like the introduction of Robin, and he wasn't that annoying yet, but I just don't get what they were doing with Batman. Almost the whole movie was focused on this love story between him and Dr. Chase Meridian, but they had no reason to fall for each other other than him being Batman and thinking she's hot. Again, almost nothing noteworthy happened throughout the movie's 2-hour runtime, and I still don't understand why the studio preferred this over Tim Burton's direction for the character, which I'll talk about a bit later. Number 9. Batman, released in 1966. This film actually released following the first season of the Batman TV series, which is where the film's cast of characters originated. The show was purposely a very ridiculous iteration of Batman, and the movie is no different. And I did enjoy how ridiculous and campy everything was, but it was obvious there wasn't a focus on forming a well-developed plot. Really, it just felt like they were having fun with the source material, and although I think the movie was fun, it's definitely an acquired taste. Number 8. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, released in 2016. It's unfortunate that Ben Affleck never got a standalone Batman film, and that instead they chose to introduce him in a story alongside Superman that didn't even turn out to be a very good movie. I did still enjoy it though, especially the fight scenes between the two superheroes, but the reason for fighting wasn't fleshed out well enough at all, and by the end it just seemed really stupid. Doomsday's creation was also a bit stupid to me, but at least it led to a pretty cool team up between Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, whose introduction into the DCEU was actually pretty well done here, although Batman looked like a bit of a bum fighting alongside them, being relegated to basically just a sniper with a lot of armor. I still wouldn't say this movie is necessarily bad, thanks mostly to its main characters being played by 2 very talented actors, and really the whole cast was pretty good. Even the controversial portrayal of Lex Luthor by Jesse Eisenberg was, in my opinion, enjoyable enough, although I do get why some people didn't like it. But I do think there's a lot to like here, and I recommend you check it out if you haven't already, to form your own opinion on it. Number 7. Batman, released in 1989. Batman is the first movie on this list so far that is definitively on the good end of the spectrum, with great performances and a beautiful style crafted by Tim Burton. He seemed to have a great vision of the type of Batman he wanted to portray, and looking back 30 years later, a darker portrayal of Batman is definitely the way to go. Michael Keaton puts in a great performance as Batman, as well as Bruce Wayne, and the character actually felt well fleshed out, unlike the 2 Schumacher films, with a relatively intriguing love story to go along with it. Jack Nicholson also put in a great performance as the Joker, and his portrayal will probably be talked about more if it wasn't for Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix's portrayals since. Like the Schumacher Batman films, this movie still has a lot of fun with its characters, but unlike those films, the characters still felt interesting and enjoyable. Number 6. Batman Returns, released in 1992. Batman Returns is the second Tim Burton directed Batman film, and to me, it's the better of the 2. Michael Keaton's Batman is once again great, but what really makes this film is its villains. Christopher Walken's Max Schreck, Danny DeVito's Penguin, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman were all fun and enjoyable, with Catwoman being my favorite of the 3. The build of her relationship with Bruce Wayne and Batman was great, as well as the dynamic between her and Max Schreck. Something this movie does particularly well is how it incorporates the 3 villains, and instead of the film feeling overcrowded, their stories smoothly string together. It's a real shame that Tim Burton and Michael Keaton didn't get to continue their Batman story, but maybe at least one of them will be able to return to the character someday. Number 5. The Dark Knight Rises, released in 2012. The final entry in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy leaves us with a satisfying end to this Batman story, although the final moments shared between Bruce and Alfred can leave some people puzzled. Bane is a great supervillain, and Tom Hardy puts in a very solid performance, but I think his death at the hand of Catwoman fell a little bit flat, as did the reveal of Miranda Tate as Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul. Having her be the true villain made sense, but in a way overshadowed Bane's amazing story that was being told throughout the film. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints at all. The cast is so talented and the story is so smart that I couldn't help but enjoy the movie. Number 4. The Lego Batman movie, released in 2017. The Lego Batman movie is one of the funniest and most unique superhero films I've ever seen, yet it still manages to be a great study of the Batman character. It's a much different take on all the characters than almost anything else we've seen before, with them having similar depth as the Burton and Nolan films, while adding in some of the ridiculousness from the Batman TV series from the 60s. I love the relationships between the characters as well, such as that of Batman and Robin, Batman and Alfred, and Batman and the Joker. All three relationships are very different, but they each build to the film's themes of family in their own way, with the three forcing Batman out of his life of loneliness and to learn to accept others into his life. This movie is just a very, very fun watch that I highly recommend. Number 3, Batman Begins, released in 2005. Moving to the beginning of the Nolan trilogy now, as Batman Begins tells a gritty backstory of the Caped Crusader, and I think this is the perfect way to go about the character. Christian Bale is an all-time great actor, and he delivers in this trilogy, outside of his controversial Batman voice. The rest of the cast is amazing as well, just as it is throughout the three films, with Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul being the standout in this one. He steals the show in my opinion, with the first and final acts of the film being the best due to his crucial involvement. The movie somewhat drags a bit in the middle, but the film overall is very enjoyable, and is up there as one of the best superhero origin stories of all time. Number 2, The Batman, released in 2022. Robert Pattinson and Paul Dano both had all-time great performances for the superhero genre, and that paired with a great supporting cast, as well as great writing and directing from Matt Reeves, leaves us no choice but to put the Batman in our top 2. The story is always more complex when the villain has a meaningful and somewhat relatable reason for doing villainous things. But what really makes this movie an outlier is the way they presented Batman. He's not yet a master detective or a perfect person, so the Riddler is constantly one step ahead of him, making for really compelling viewing. I can't wait to see what else they do with this cast of characters in the films to come, and what new characters will do once they're officially introduced. And number 1, The Dark Knight, released in 2008. It was really tough for us to pick between our number 1 and 2 spots, but in the end, we went with The Dark Knight, which is not only one of the greatest superhero movies ever, but one of the greatest movies of all time. You have a perfect foil to Batman in the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, who puts in maybe the greatest performance in a superhero movie ever, and the story pitting them against one another is told perfectly. Every secondary character feels important in their own way, and as I've already said, they're played by a fantastic cast. A well-paced, well-thought-out film that deserves all the praise it's gotten in the 14 years since its release. And that was every Batman movie ranked from worst to best. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let us know your rankings in the comments below. We'll put both mine and Justin's rankings on the screen, mine on the left and Justin's on the right, in case you're curious to see how my rankings compare to Justin's, and how both of our rankings compare to your own. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.